How you doing? It looks like you're in some sort of man cave. Are you in your garage or something like that?
No, I'm at home. It's in the office. This is me office at the house. So yeah, it's quite good. It's got toilet facilities. There's a cellar to my right, a wine cellar. There's another cellar to the left, and some outside courtyard outside.
You probably don't want this lockdown to end, do you? It sounds
So
pretty good.
it's been relaxing, to be fair, and been able to get a lot of stuff done, paperwork and stuff like that. Where normally I wouldn't have had time to do it. So it ain't been too bad. Plus, it's been good to be with the wife. I've got my mother here with me and my daughter, so I've enjoyed it.
I was going to ask about your missus and how she's kind of coping with having you home more than usual because you're obviously at the gym every day normally.
Yeah, she said, well, this is what I said. I said, you know what? I said, you can't win, yeah? I said, you're complaining because I'm never in. I said, and now I'm back. You're saying, oh, I've got my life and you've got yours and we do our things and this and that. I said, nobody's ever happy, are they, no matter what you do. But no, she's all right. She says it was a smile on her face, so I assume she's joking.
Yeah, well, it's probably best to do that either way.
Yeah, yeah.
How's Hughie getting on? I'm sure you speak to him often. How's he doing in this situation?
For you, he's the same. He's got a home cinema where he lives, and I think he's just watching movies. He chats to a few people on his phone and stuff. His friends he's got, and I think he's locked down. He's not going anywhere, and he's moved like a multi gym in his house, so he's using that. So he's keeping active and he's eating healthy. He always trains anyway.
Do you think there's something to be said that this is slightly easier perhaps for boxers than it is for certain other people in society, and that they're used to quite a monastic lifestyle of kind of gym, home, eat, sleep, repeat, basically?
I think as long as we've got to look at when you look at the dangers out there and the possible what it can do to families, I think it's very easy to stay in. You've only got to look at the downside. What does it mean going out socializing? It can cost you and cost other people their lives, can't it? So when you look at that risk involved, it's perfect to stay on. It's not easy. It's not a natural environment for us because we all work. And to wake up on a Monday or a Tuesday, come downstairs in your slippers, is brand new to me because I've always been on the go. So but like I said, everything's good, and yeah, it's pretty relaxed.
What were the plans before this situation emerged, both for Hughie and for Savannah Marshall? When were they likely to fight next, and what was the plan for the year?
Well, Savannah was boxing for the world title, the WBO light heavyweight world title, and she was boxing in Newcastle on the 4th of April. So we was heavy into camp there, and everything was going well. So, like I said, that is a sickener. But I've seen all this before. You can always nothing's guaranteed to us in life. There's always something coming up. But the main thing is that everybody's okay, and when this is over, all being well, it's just a delay, isn't it?
On the boxing side, how pleased were you with Hughie's last performance? We saw a lot from him, especially strategically, that we're not used to seeing, and something you've been calling for.
Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of it is talking to him because he is as tough as teak, Hughie. He's 27 fights. There's no standing 8 counts. He's solid. And this is one of the things I had to say to him to get him to realise, boxing is an art and it is a skill. But at the same rule, Hughie cannot take chances because, he also shot pretty good. So like I said, he's rough in himself, meaning he's tough. He's a tough customer. He can ship a lot of punishment. So basically, sometimes he can overestimate people and stick to his boxing. He's got to vary it up. So it was a case of going through all of that, changing his style round. And, yeah, so he did what he needed to do with that Sauer, was it his name?
Sauer, yeah.
He was a messy type of fighter. And, just because Hughie's got him out there in quick time doesn't mean to say the guy was an idiot or he was no good. Because look, he took Jermaine Franklin in the 10 rounds. He was 18-0 in America. You know, he come off a win. He stopped somebody who was 9-0 in the fight before that. So he's on a winning streak. He got stopped early on in his career after he had a couple of fights in one round by the big hitting kid from America. But he won 7 straight after that. So, like I said, and he's gone the 10 rounds on numerous occasions. So, like I said, he never going to be not a world-class fighter, but still a durable, awkward customer.
I wanted to ask about Savannah as well. Amazing talent, obviously, but she kind of tick a box for you as well, because you've been known as a trainer for someone who's done wonders with Hughie, of course, and Tyson previous to that. Members of your family, people that have grown up with you around. Whereas Savannah's someone who's come from a great amateur setup. You've had to kind of develop her from that point into the pro game. It's a different challenge.
It's been a different challenge, but it's been one that she's adapted to pretty well. So she's, like I said, the things that we've been talking about, she's really studied it, learned to trade well, and she's, I'm very happy with Savannah. She's, how do you say, she's a consummate professional, but very good listening, very good student to learn. You know, she loves the pad work. She loves trying different things. And what makes her a special talent, because when she's sparring, I can say to her, look, I want you to try this. I want you to try this, this, and this. And with a lot of fighters, they'll say they're going to do it, but they never try it. It's only like once in a blue moon. And the good thing with Savannah, when you tell her to try something, she goes out and does it straight away. Whether it fails or there's no problem, she'll come back and say, oh, I don't feel comfortable with it. And I'll just say, right, well, we'll tweak it a bit more, try this and try that. Then we get to the pads and we'll just go through it like that. But there's nothing I've showed Savannah that she's not been able to do properly, which is good.
You've never had a huge stable of fighters at one time. I'm sure you get offers. Do you just prefer working with a smaller group?
You know, I have to enjoy the boxing. And the thing is, it's not a business for me. Although I'm in a professional trainer and, might be highly regarded in boxing or whatever, it's not my business. My business is outside of boxing. Primarily is to help the fighters, help family over the years. Same with my son. And Savannah's no different. I don't go to Savannah and say, you owe me $1,000, you owe me $2,000. I'm not interested. It's a hobby for me. So it's more or less like that. So that's why I'm not interested in big stables of fighters. I don't want to be the best trainer in the world. I don't want to be Einstein in boxing or whatever. I'm just doing my best for the people that surround me, where I can help guide them and achieve big things. And that's the aim.
Just before we round off, I'm going to ask you 2 quick questions. We're obviously still very early into the year when boxing is effectively shut down.
Yeah.
If you can, so far in 2020, what's been your best fight you've seen and the best performance you've seen?
To be honest, I don't watch a lot of boxing. I've not been watching a lot of it. My schedule's that busy. I don't really get to see that much of it. So I watch all the big fights. I like a lot of the lighter weights. I like Canelo. Him and Golovkin, that was a good fight, because although Golovkin he's a very good fighter, but he was putting that much pressure on. I just like the way that Canelo was countering everything he was doing. That was a high skill bout for me. That I enjoyed that fight. So that's just one of them to think about. There's probably more, but I can't think of them.
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been much before it all kind of shut down for the year. Maybe a better question would be, when everything starts back up again, which fights are you most looking forward to?
I suppose all of the top fights, really, in all different weights. I like to see all the fights, the lighter weights, all the weights going through. I like to look at all top class fighters fight. So that's my opinion on it. So I'm looking forward for the big. I like to see big fights get made. I don't like to see, it's like Hughie fighting that opponent the other day. This is something we have to do. We have to go through these motions. It's business, and I understand that. But it's not something that I can really get excited about. I like to see fights where 50-50 fights, where even up against it.
Obviously, you're most associated with the heavyweight division. Coming up, at least at the moment, obviously these fights could all get delayed even further, but at the moment we're looking at Joshua against Pulev towards the end of June. Ian White against Povetkin has just been rescheduled for early July. You've got Fury Wilder looking like October 3rd, their third fight. Who do you see coming out on top in that heavyweight mix? Obviously with Hughie waiting in the wings, but in terms of the current kind of top 4 or 5, who's going to come out on top in the end?
We can all look at fights and say, this guy's going to do it. But that's not boxing. Styles are so awkward in boxing. You just can't say, if you look at the performances, what all the heavyweights is at, you've got to say Tyson's last fight's the best performance because he stopped Wilder. Yeah? But you can't just look at it like that. You've got to look at the other fighters as well and the attributes they got, because sometimes, fighters can be a nightmare for other fighters because it's just that style they've got. It only takes, it's very, very difficult to say. Styles make fights and fighters study each other like nobody's business before they get in there. So it just depends. So you can't say really.
As you mentioned Wilder, I should ask you, can he come again? Not necessarily in the next fight with Tyson, but in the future. Is there still something left in the tank? And the type of loss that he suffered, is that something a fighter can come back from mentally?
Yeah, I think so. He's not like he's been. The stoppage was right because he was getting beat up in there, but he hasn't took a hell of a battering. Something that he can't come back from. Wilder, his feet flat. He was square, and he was just. I don't know what his game plans was. He seemed to just, from the first round, it was all over for him, wasn't it? After the first round, you could see it was going all wrong for him anyway. Whether that's because he got hit and it was being took to him, and I think he just got genuinely took out of his stride because Tyson was coming onto him. He wasn't used to it. He's never had it before, and he's this is what I mean with a lot of fighters. They don't prepare for the worst scenario. All fighters at the very top should look at themselves in the mirror and say, what have I got to worry about? What am I not good at? And what they should is perfect what they're not good at. Not trying to have this macho image, I'm unbeatable. If I hit you, I'll put you into next week. Again, you should work on all of the stuff, not just what you're good at. And that's a prime example, as I see what happened to Wilder.
Mark Breland, who was in Wilder's corner, was in an incredibly difficult position before deciding to throw the towel in. Have you ever been in anything sort of similar? I know when Hughie was out in Bulgaria, for example, got up very early on, wasn't taking a beating or anything like that. So I'm guessing you didn't really consider throwing the towel in. But have you ever been in that situation?
Well, I said to Kerry Case, and I think Kerry Case is probably the best, or not one of the best in the world at cuts. And I was talking to him outside of the ring when the fight was going on. And I said, what's your opinion with this? He said, it's no problem. He said, it's not dangerous to him. He said, the blood's been stopped. He said, the skin's just flapping over. He said, over the eyelid. He said, it's only bone underneath. He said, it's not going to affect his eyesight or nothing like that. He said, it's just the skin, the split where the eyebrow is. So he said, it looks worse than what it is because it's flapping over his eye. He couldn't see. He said, but apart from that, he said, it's fine. So we just let it go on. You can't be one of these that's squeamish when you see some blood in the corner. You see, when cuts happen in the deep, you do see a lot of blood. And you see a big open wound. It looks worse than what it is. But it's not, a lot of the times, it's not so bad. I think what you got to worry about is if massive swelling starts. That's the concern. But if it's not and the blood stopped, then it's not really that big of a deal. But getting back to Mark Breland with that fight, he did the right thing to stop it because he was going to get flattened, and then it's going to be a lot harder to come back because then he's been carried out, rather than being stopped on his feet, because that was inevitable, was going to happen.
If you were in that position, though, would there be a worry in the back of your mind that the fighter would resent you for it, even though you know it's the right call? He might resent you. It might spoil your relationship going forward.
I think not really. I wouldn't. That wouldn't bother me. That wouldn't come into my mind anyway. If the fighter don't like it, tough. There's plenty of other gyms in the country. You know what I'm saying? So basically, I'm going to make the call what I see is right to protect that fighter. I'm not going to see the fighter die in there. If you're getting a systematic beating and you're not in it, and it looks like you could get brain damage, then pull the fighter out. Don't let him go on and go on and go on, because it's not going to happen, is it?
Just to finish off, 12 months from now, assuming boxing gets back into the swing sometime around June, July, where would you like to see both Hughie and Savannah 12 months from now?
I'd like to see Hughie right at the top, waiting for a world title shot, which he's highly capable of doing. And I think for his, for the second time of asking, I think he'll get there this time. He's older, he's maturer, so his time's going to come. He'll get there. Savannah, to basically start where we left off, to get that world title at light heavyweight, rescheduled that fight. She comes through that, and then she'll have a look what else is about, and then that's it. We move on from there.
Brilliant. Well, I really appreciate your time. I was really keen to speak to you, as you know, from the amount of texts I sent you. So it's really good. Really appreciate it. And take care, you and the family, while this is all going on. Stay safe, obviously, and you seem to be enjoying yourself so far. So long may it continue.
Well, listen.
Not the shutdown. I mean, long may your enjoyment continue.
Well, there's no point being down about it. It's not an ideal position, but we've just got to get on with it. But I've had plenty of practice over the years, so it doesn't really bother me about being indoors.
I wasn't going to bring that up, so yeah.
No, but it's okay. So, like I said, where I've been over the years, it was a glorified toilet block.
I was going to say, you didn't have a wine cellar there, so...
No, so to be at home and be around the family, it's nice. And I think what this does show us is you can be over busy at times. You don't need to do as much as what you do, really. You can always get by, but the thing is with this, we're all in the same boat. Everybody's the same, aren't they?
Yeah, it's a great leveler. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, it is. And I've never read so much of my Bible either, because I've got a Bible, and I'll probably pick it up once every couple of weeks, where you're that busy and stuff. When you get home, you're too tired. But now I've been reading it every single day. So it's stuff. Well, look, I enjoy things like that, so it's good. So for them,
making the most of your time is great.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, yeah, really appreciate it, and hopefully we'll speak again before this is all over.
All right, Danny. All the very best to you and your family.
Yeah, and you, Peter. Take care.